have no idea why my video ended, so sorry about that, guys. This now just became a two-part video. Red flag laws allow anybody to report any gun owner to the authorities for being a potential danger to themselves or others. On the surface of it, that sounds fantastic. I forget the guy's name, but the guy that shot up the high school in Florida, he was reported to the FBI and state and local law enforcement a bunch, and nothing happened. He had broke no laws, he had exhibited suspicious behavior, but police can't arrest on that, and they can't do anything on that. So, if there would have been something in place where they could have found out if this guy's got his head screwed on right or whatever, sure, makes sense. Well, here's where it falls apart. The way that they are set up to work is if you, John Q. citizen, see someone that is exhibiting what in your opinion is dangerous behavior, threatening behavior, where they could be a danger to themselves or others, you would report them to the police. The police would show up with basically a red flag warrant, take this person's guns, and then this person would have a court date set for a future date where they have to prove that they are not a danger to themselves or others, and the judge can rule on that however the judge feels led, and the person will or won't get their guns back after that point, depending on whatever the judge's opinion is. So there's several problems that I have with this proposed legislation as it's written. First, it violates, plain as day, the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. There has been no warrant based on suspected wrongdoing issued for search or seizure of property. Anytime, if you watch any kind of NCIS, CSI, old crime documentaries, there are some times where the police absolutely know what someone did or what someone's up to, but they can't prove it, so they gotta gather enough evidence to actually get a warrant for a search. This is an evidenceless, baseless claim because the guns are taken before any judge is informed about this. The evidence that supposedly shows that you are a danger to yourself or others is given after your guns are taken. So it clearly violates the Fourth Amendment, which is to be secure in your documents, possessions, and property without probable cause for search and seizure. I'm butchering the actual language, but that's the gist of it. It also violates the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Unless someone is deemed to be a danger to general society, whenever they are arrested, they are treated as though they are innocent. Okay, if I got arrested for trying to think of something that I might actually do. I'm a very boring man. If I got arrested for reckless driving, just suppose I was driving fast enough that they thought they should arrest me. I show up in jail. that night. Then I go in front of a judge for arraignment the following morning. They can set my bond or even release me on my own recognizance. I will then get a court date to enter in a plea. I can plead guilty or not guilty. And I've actually seen there's this Facebook page, Caught in Providence. I forget the judge, but he's a really interesting character to watch on the bench. One time he sentenced a speeding parent to take his kid to lunch and get ice cream. And the parent had to prove it. The father didn't have a babysitter for his kid this day, so the kid had to sit in court. The kid was well behaved, so he sentenced the parent to Baskin Robbins. Well, there was one case that I seen where a father was driving his son to a doctor's appointment and ran a red light. And he got a ticket, and he entered a not guilty plea due to the fact that his son was having a medical emergency in the passenger seat, and he just like the light had just changed. He was trying to make the yellow and he didn't. So if I was operating a vehicle in a reckless manner, suppose I was speeding, get out on bail or released on my own recognizance, enter in a plea of not guilty, and I am not treated as though I am guilty until I am actually found guilty by the state proving an abundance of evidence or providing an abundance of evidence for a jury of my peers to find me guilty. Bear in mind, in this red flag law, none of that's happened. Someone said he's a danger to himself or others. Police show up, take your guns. Another thing I've heard, I have not unfortunately had a chance to dig into the validity of some of these stories, but I have also heard that states that have passed red flag laws, there have been abuses of them. I'll give you a case in point. A good friend of mine, retired Army, retired law enforcement, his concern with red flag laws is he has a neighbor that, we'll just say, does not like guns at all. And he is actually afraid that if this person got a little irritated at him while he is packing his guns out to his vehicle to go to a legal range and target shoot, make adjustments, what have you, that this person might just call and report him on a red flag law that he's dangerous, he's carrying a ton of guns out to his car, he needs to have his guns taken. That's something that he is anxious about if my state passes red flag laws. And it could happen. The one thing that I do not like about red flag laws as written is there's no penalty for false reporting that I'm aware of, or that I have seen in any of the proposed laws so far. And there's actually allegations of more than one person falsely reporting, and the police cannot drudge up any evidence on these people that would indicate that they are a danger to themselves or others. They go do their normal thing and they leave people alone, and someone just decided, I don't like you having guns. So that allegedly has happened in a couple instances. And I do not like that there is not a penalty for false reporting. I know that there have been several instances where women have been busted for false rape accusations, and they end up getting the book thrown at them, so to speak, because of the fact that they, in a lot of cases, have put someone in jail for a crime that never happened. So I think that there should be the teeth on that law should go both ways, in that if you falsely report and there is zero evidence and your claims cannot be backed up, and turns out you were just being a jerk that doesn't like guns, that there is a penalty for you to face up to where you lose something of yours. I think your car should be impounded for the amount of time that all your vehicles should be impounded for the amount of time that the guns were out of the house, in my opinion. Anyway, a friend of mine, when these red flag laws were being really talked about and discussed and proposed several months back, we are both firearms enthusiasts. He's been out to my property, and I have safe places to shoot all sorts of weapons at varying distances. Anyway, my buddy, we got talking about it, and he's like, there's no way I'll stand behind him. And I told him the only way that I could. Each county appoints a judge that only handles red flag cases, or maybe every 3 counties depending on population. I live in a rather rural area, but there's a judge appointed for every so many people that only handles red flag cases. The way that these work, or the way that these would work if I could stand behind it, is someone calls and reports that so-and-so that John Q. Citizen is a danger to himself or others. The police show up. They explain to John Q. Citizen that he has been reported as being a potential danger to himself or others, and that he has to come with it, that in order to maintain possession of his firearms, he has to come with them. And they take him straight to a hearing room where whatever evidence this person has against John Q. Citizen is presented. John Q. Citizen can argue what he has to say, and then an actual warrant could be issued based on that evidence that the judge had seen at that point. But that's the only way I could get behind any red flag laws. And the thing about those is, if someone was legitimately planning to harm somebody, there should be evidence of it somewhere. And if the judge tends to believe the person reporting and it's not true, the guy could point out, look, I've got a very clean background, I haven't hurt anybody, I don't have so much as a barroom brawl on my record. So that's the only way that I personally could get behind red flag laws, is if it was special judge and you're in court rapidly. That way none of your rights are violated, because police can detain you without cause or warrant for a certain amount of times, varying state to state and even county to county. So as long as they did not exceed that detainment time, I could get behind it. But aside from that, I think that they are illegal. I think that they violate the Constitution. I think that they violate a person's sanctity and safety, and just the privacy of their own home, especially without probable cause. Okay, hypothetical situation here. The company that I work for pays out a couple bonuses a year, with one of them being somewhat sizable. There are a list of firearms and firearm accessories and ammunition that I would just like to have because of who I am as a person. If one of those bonuses came in and I literally had nothing better to do but to go to my favorite gun store and order everything on my list and walk out of there with thousands of rounds of ammo and scopes and stocks and guns and targets and everything else, I can tell you with absolute certainty the only thing that I have any intention of pointing that at is either a target or a deer. Potentially a coyote too. They're around in my area. That's all I want to do with it is target shoot and hunt. The only way that those weapons will be used on a person is if that person puts my life in clear and present danger or kicks the door to my house in. So, I have no desire to hurt, but a lot of people call that suspicious behavior. And a red flag law or a red flag case could be opened on me. I have done literally nothing except spend a bonus on a bunch of gun stuff that I wanted anyway, just to have. There's a gun that I've got that I would very much enjoy upgrading with optics and a better stock. No harm in that, is there? There's another gun I've got that needs a little bit of gunsmith work. So, and a man can never have too much ammo. So I can't get behind the red flag laws as the ones that I have read or written. That's all I got for today, folks. Sorry about the rant, but hey, I feel like y'all got to know me a little bit better today. It's the first time I've ever got openly political about some of my political convictions and beliefs. So anyway, thanks for joining. Hope y'all have a good rest of your day and take care. See ya.